Let's talk about basic tool care for a second here. And it's implied this video is for somebody who's newer to technical trades, working with tools, home improvements, do-it-yourself, stuff like that. So I'm going to cover some basic stuff that you really need to know if you're going to be doing this kind of work. So first of all, the first thing you need to do is not lose your tools. It's surprisingly easy to lose your tools. You got a bunch of them going, you're working on something, hey, where's my hammer? Where is my hammer? I mean, you spend half your day doing that sometimes as a construction worker, and that's the truth of the matter. You can do better than that just by having a higher degree of organization. Don't just kind of like put your stuff everywhere. Have regular places that you put things. My pliers always go in my back left pocket. My wire strippers in my front right. I keep my hammer on my right hip. There's kind of like a regular process, but that's more for a trades worker, whereas a tool bag, just a regular tool bag, would go a long way towards organization for you. Just keep all of your stuff in a tool bag, and then you're not going to lose it. Like, even better if you could have like a cork board up where you have, all of your tools and maybe even their outline, so you can see at a glance, like a prison yard, that something's missing. We better find that before somebody makes a shank out of it. That's fine if you've got the space. Most people don't. So just try to have a mental account of your tools. And at the end of the day, when you're done working with, what you're doing, put them all back in your tool bag or tool box together and just quickly kind of make sure they're all there. Visually run through it. You maybe don't have enough time to count them individually, but it's all relative to the size of the toolkit that you're carrying. But just be careful. It's really easy to lose tools. Go out of your way to not. Okay, so the next tip, a little bit controversial here. Now that you're going to have tools and you want to take care of them properly, here's a thing you need to know. Don't lend your tools to anybody. It sounds kind of mean. Like, what if my mom needs to borrow a screwdriver? It's like, well, then I'd just go over and take care of whatever she needs done, and then she doesn't even need to borrow my screwdriver, and we both win. Tools are expensive, and if you work with them a lot, you might even earn your living using them. I can't go lending those things out because I need them. I need them to be there when I need them, but I also need them in good serviceable condition. Not everybody knows how to take care of tools properly. You're learning in this video right now how to take care of tools. One of the ways that you take care of your tools is by hoarding them like a dragon hoarding gold. Don't let anybody touch them. Don't let anybody look at them. Nobody's borrowing them, that's for sure. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step here is keep your tools clean and dry. It's really going to pay dividends. Go tool shopping. Check out how much tools are. And let's buy some like decent name brand stuff or something that's going to have like a lifetime guarantee. So you know it's going to be around a while. And you'll end up with like, I don't know, this one isn't maybe a great name brand, but it does have a lifetime guarantee on it, so that's good. But it's in great condition, serviceable, no rust. It moves nice and easily there. And here's one that hasn't been taken care of. I mean, it's not borked, but it's not great. Like, it does not move smoothly. I can't even one finger turn that. So I'd have to do some cleaning and some work with some penetrating oil to free that up. And all that could be avoided by taking care of your tools better, by keeping them clean and dry. So how do you keep your tools clean and dry? It's actually really, really simple. So have a rag when you're done doing what you're doing. If they got wet, like, dry them off. Dirt is one thing. You could use compressed air. It's a really good way to keep tools clean. But in terms of the dryness, even the residual moisture after you used a rag and cleaned your tools at the end of the day, or even the compressed air, there's still some residual moisture there. And it's going to be a problem because you probably aren't going to be using your tools tomorrow. Not everybody uses their adjustable wrench every single day. And you know what would happen is you're going to end up with some rust on there. And the way that you would avoid that would be with this fancy product. Do you know what WD stands for? It stands for water displacement. Water displacement, boy, that sounds like exactly what we need here. And it is. So when you're done with your tool for the day, clean it and dry it, and then just spray some WD-40 on it and take like a rag and clean it all up and whatever, and then just hang it up. That WD-40 is not permanent. It's temporary lubrication, but it will get rid of any residual moisture. So the next time you go to pick up your tool, whether it's tomorrow or a month or a year later, it's going to be in great condition. It's not going to have any rust or corrosion starting. This is a great way to take care of your tools properly. Keep them dry, use WD-40. So what else do you need to know here? Well, here's an important thing that I would want you to know. There's a right tool for every job. And a big part of doing good work or quality work is knowing which tool to go to for a particular job. And when you try to use the wrong tool, you usually make a mess of the job, but it's not good for the tools either. Like, let me give you an example here. So we've got this screwdriver. It's a standard screwdriver. And it's a pretty thick one too. Like, I mean, I could drive a small truck over that. But you know what? You know what this isn't? This isn't a pry bar. And if you try to pry with it, can you see that there's a chunk missing there at the end? Well, now it's useless. What am I going to do with half of a screwdriver like that? You know, the truth is, for me, it becomes the one that I use as an impromptu chisel because it's broken, because that tip got broken off from prying. So when you have a good quality screwdriver, keep it a good quality screwdriver by only doing, you know, screw related activities with it, not prying. If you're going to pry, like, there's purpose made tools. There's one that you could do a little bit of prying with, you know, get in or something and pry it. I mean, how much prying do you need to do? They make a tool for every job. Using the wrong tool just because it's the one that you have available to you, it's not really a great, you know, protocol to establish. If you're looking to get better with tools, maybe a better protocol to establish is you have to start to recognize when you have the right tool or don't have the right tool. And if you don't, you have to find it. Maybe go out and buy it. Like, this is how people like me and other tradespeople just get their entire lives filled with tools, because you're actually accumulating the right tools for the right jobs, and it pays dividends, big dividends to you as a tradesperson here working on stuff. Even just if you're do-it-yourself or working around your home, it's going to pay dividends when you have the right tool for the right job. So that was a good amount of information there just about basic hand tools. Let's jump over to cordless tools for a second, because the world is full of cordless tools these days. Everything from, everything that you can buy in a corded variety, you can now buy in an adequately powered cordless variety. And by adequately powered, I mean back in the day when the cordless tools started first coming out, like, you couldn't cut a 2x4 with a cordless saw. Like, you'd take 6-8 runs at it. It keeps browning out the battery. Nowadays, that's not the case. You can do it. Maybe it's still not quite on par with a corded skill saw, but we're getting up there, and you can do a lot of work with cordless tools and everything. I mean, impact drills, hammer drills, jackhammers, sawzalls, lights, stereos, you name it. There's absolutely everything you can get in the world of cordless tools. So you probably have some, because if I only had one single tool that I'm going to keep, probably going to be a cordless drill. What are you using more than a cordless drill, right? So let's talk about how to take care of this, and by proxy, all the rest of the sawzalls and lights and all those other stuff. We'll just talk about the drill. So first of all, you got to keep it dry. Unlike the other tools where you dry them up when you're, done working with whatever you're doing, I don't let my cordless tools get wet. And if I do, because I have to, I don't use my good cordless tools. I keep a set of tools that I don't really care very much about at all. And if it dies, it dies, as Ivan Drago says. So you can't just dry them off. It's not good enough. If you really want to keep this tool for life, you're going to have to do better than that. Find a way to keep your cordless tools dry when you're working with them. And if they do get wet, again, compressed air is your friend. And if they get dirty as well, like, compressed air is going to help you to get into all the nooks and crannies and keep all the crud off your tools and keep everything looking good and working good. So another thing that I would want you to know would be store your tools in a way where they won't get damaged. So when I have a giant tool bag or a toolbox, it's not my favorite to just toss the drill and whatever in there with it. I prefer to have a bag separate for just my cordless set. Keep all those those things together, separate from all the other sharp and malicious tools that are just gonna bang up and damage, and possibly, like, you know, something in the bag bumps into your tool, it could turn on. You know, you could just leave the battery out of it, which would be a great idea. But even better would just be to not have your cordless tools in with all of your other tool bag or toolbox. So here's something else that you shouldn't do. Never let your battery freeze. Most specifically, if it's dead. Like, and that kind of ties into the next point I was going to make, which is long-term storage for your tools and your batteries. You can't store this tool over the winter season because you don't do a lot of work with your tools then. You can't store it with the battery dead. If you do, there's a chance that when you next go to charge it, it's not going to accept the charge. Possibly there's things that you might be able to do about it at that point, or maybe not, but better if you just don't encounter that. And how you avoid that is avoid storing your tools long-term with a dead battery, and definitely avoid storing them in a too hot or too cold of a climate. Like, this is a sensitive tool, really, is what I'm saying here. You can get away with some levels of abuse. You could have it in a vehicle trunk and it got way too hot. It doesn't guarantee that it's failed. If you freeze it, it doesn't guarantee that it's failed. But if I want my cordless tools to last, I'm just going to go well out of my way to keep them dry, but I'm also going to go well out of my way to prevent them from being exposed to really extreme temperature fluctuations. And when I store my tools long term, ideally, I'm storing it with the battery at 60% capacity. That is the ideal number. You never want to store it with an entirely dead battery. If I had to choose entirely dead or 100% charge, for sure, 100% charge. But 100% charge is not as good as storing your battery at 60% charge. It has an effect on the potential longevity of the battery itself when you try to store it at 100%. So that's why you don't want to necessarily store it at 100%, but storing it at 0 or completely dead could actually ruin your battery entirely. So you definitely don't want to do that. It would also be a good idea, since we're just talking about storage, if you do leave your batteries in your tools, have your trigger lock engaged. You wouldn't want to just leave it like that. But I make it a habit, you know, it's a good idea to remove the batteries from your tools. If you have kids, maybe it's just like a good idea to always remove the batteries from your cordless tools. Like a drill could be a malicious little tool there, but some of the other ones like the saws and stuff absolutely are. So you just, you know, err on the side of caution. Okay, hardly a comprehensive guide to, you know, how to be a mechanic here. But I think you've got a better idea now, some of the things that you should be doing and should not be doing in terms of how to care for your tools, how to kind of get the most longevity out of them. If you found this information helpful, please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Remember, I'm technically Steve, so it would technically help you if you like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you do, I'll see you soon.